So check out this super important detail. Everyone talks about hand fighting, but nobody talks about head fighting. Head fighting is actually even more important, especially when you're starting to get to the later stages of defense for the rear naked choke from the back. Check this out. Right now, what's going to happen is he's going to have his arm around my neck and he's going to be using his head to block my head.
No way he can actually bring his head in front of me. So instead of driving my head backwards, if I feel his head blocking me, watch what I do.
So he's got his arm around my neck and he's basically leaning his head forward and using his head to block my head because he knows that's the actual side that I need to go. That's the side I need to kind of drive to be able to get out of that choke. I don't want to go to the other side because I'm going into the choke. I'm going towards the choking arm. So I want to go away from the choking arm.
If I drive my head back, I go right into where his shoulder is. I'm stuck. So I tuck my chin and I turn my head, and now I drive the back of my head into his face.
So when someone's on your back, even if they're leaning their head forward, you're in front of them. So the idea is, how do I create an angle? I need to get an angle, create a little angle with my head so I can get in front of their face so that when I actually stretch my head back and lean back, I go in front of their face and not basically into their shoulder. So that little chin tuck and then turn of the head creates the angle so that when I actually stretch my head back, I go in front of their face instead of basically backwards and into kind of that little pocket that they create.
You stop that? No. No, but try. Right?
So what you notice, I'm not even using my hands here, right? At this point, it's a little late for my hands because he's got his arm fully around my neck and his head's blocking my head. I could try to basically pull his arms away, use two hands to try to pull his arms away, but what I'm trying to teach here is this really, really important detail of how I use my head, the adjustment that I make with my head to basically get back in front of his face so that I can actually go to the correct side and get out of this choke.
Uncle Bob? I tried. What happened? Too uncomfortable, huh?
So I actually drive the back of my head into their face, and what happens is they have to move their head out of the way. So it gets super uncomfortable when I create that angle.
So if he tries to stop me,
watch that. Look how far in front of his, he's basically putting his ear almost right next to my ear. And so by tucking my chin
it's his fault.
And turning my head, it creates the
I
angle.
always say, don't put your face in harm's way. I still have a side I need to go to. So instead of just driving straight back,
and what you can see is the angle of his choke is almost perfect. His elbows lined up with my chin, his arm all the way around. He's actually grabbing towards my back, which makes it a really, really deep choke.
Feel his head is blocking me.
And his head's leaning
my
forward.
My job is to get in front of his head. How I do that is I tuck my chin and then I drive my head. So I tuck my chin, I turn and I drive my head. Do you feel the difference? Yeah. So now you're in front.
And that's super important for me to stretch my head back and lead with the back of my head instead of tucking my chin. A lot of times people end up tucking their chin once the arm's around the neck, and it prevents you from being able to get out.